So many of you have asked when it's okay to use your unaffected arm during exercises. You've probably heard from doctors and therapists to not rely on your unaffected arm if you're trying to compensate for movement. But today we're going to go over the one exception where it's okay to use your unaffected arm to help your affected arm make some recovery gains. I'm going to go through some exercises that you can incorporate into a weekly home rehab routine to help take your arm movement to the next level. The ideal time to incorporate these exercises into your routine is when you're starting to see active shoulder movement, but you still have trouble coordinating and lifting your arm. And even if you're not quite to this point yet, you may still get some benefits from doing these exercises. Just know that it may take longer to see the effects. And as usual, make sure that you check with your doctor or therapist before making changes to or starting a new therapy routine. So let's go ahead and jump into the first exercise. We're focused on pectoralis activation. So pectoralis major or pec major helps to raise and lift the arm, and pec minor helps to stabilize the scapula. So to do this exercise with your affected arm, I want you to try to keep a fist with your affected hand. Your unaffected hand is going to come support under your forearm. Now I want you to be either sitting down or standing up if you're safe enough to do so, but you're going to have something sturdy in front of you. So for me, I've got this table, and what I'm going to do is push that fist into the table. Like I said, you can do this at a wall as well if you're safe enough to stand. What I would recommend is having a washcloth or some other soft fabric behind your fist so that you don't hurt your fingers. But as you push, you hopefully should feel an activation in your pecs right up here at the top of your chest. And you can either do quicker repetitions where you're pushing, relaxing, pushing, relaxing, or you can do some nice holds where you're actually pushing in, holding for 3 to 5 seconds, relaxing, and then going back for the next repetition. I get people asking all the time, how many sets and repetitions should I do? Because I'm not working one-on-one with you, I can't answer this directly for you. But here's what I can say. What we know about neuroplasticity is that it takes hundreds, if not thousands, of repetitions to rebuild neural pathways. So the more repetitions that you can do, the better. Just make sure that you're not working through discomfort or pain. Exercise number 2 is shoulder shrugs. This is where you bring your shoulders up, squeezing up to your ear, and then relaxing. These are really important because they help to rebuild the strength and stability of the shoulder joint and the scapula or the shoulder blade. You're going to use your unaffected arm to cradle your affected forearm, and I want your hand going underneath your elbow. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see this movement better. You're going to push up with your unaffected hand to help get that shoulder shrug going. But here is the key point with all of these assisted exercises. By assisted, I mean your unaffected hand is assisting your affected arm to do these exercises. I want you to actively be trying to fire your muscles in your affected side. It's not that you're just taking your unaffected arm and just passively moving that arm. It may start out that way, but the goal is that you're actually trying to do that movement with your affected side as well. The unaffected arm should just be giving some assistance. But to get back to the movement, you're going to try to push that shoulder up. You can even do a little hold here at the top and then bring it back down nice and slow. Push it up and then relax as you're actively trying to move your affected arm. Exercise number 3 is shoulder circles, and this one's really important because it not only helps to build stability, we're also working on flexibility. So what you're gonna do is come in that same position that you did for the shoulder shrug, where your unaffected arm is cradling underneath your affected elbow. But the difference here is that while you may start going up, I want you to push that arm forward, bring it down, come all the way back, bring it up, and then all the way back around. Now you can also go backwards the other way, right? So you're pushing up, going back, pushing down, coming forward. And like I mentioned in the last exercise, so important that you're actively trying to move that shoulder yourself. So while you are assisting with the unaffected arm, you're also trying to raise your shoulder. You're trying to push it back. Feel your shoulder blades move back. Trying to push that shoulder down and then bring it forward. So we're getting all the planes of movement in our scapula where we're elevating, we're retracting, we're depressing, and then we're also protracting. Exercise number 4 is shoulder external rotation. This movement is absolutely crucial to focus on when you're trying to get more movement in the lifting and raising of your arm. Why is this though? Well, when we think about raising our arm, we're often functionally thinking about this in terms of reaching, but we're not always reaching straight ahead of us, right? We're often reaching out to the side. Maybe we're reaching up into a cabinet to get down a dish. We might be reaching like this to brush our hair or to pull on a shirt over our head. So to work on this, you're going to bring your arm down by your side, just like we did for that first exercise, the pec activation. You're going to take your unaffected arm and support underneath your forearm, sort of at your wrist. You're going to try your best to keep the elbow of your affected side tucked in at your side at about a 90-degree angle. And what you're going to do is try to just move the forearm out to the side and then bring it back in. You'll notice my upper arm did not come away from my body. We want it to stay beside your body so that we're actually targeting the external rotators of the shoulder. Exercise number 5 is shoulder flexion in what we call a gravity eliminated position. And while we can't completely take away the effects of gravity, we can definitely limit them so that we can try to work on movement without having too much of that resistance from gravity. And this is really important. This is sort of our precursor exercise to actually lifting, because arms are really heavy, and if you don't have a ton of activation in those flexors yet to actually be able to lift up, this is a great exercise to start with. So to do this exercise, what you're going to do is grab a washcloth or a towel. You're going to try to put your palm face down, although if your hand is in a fist, that's okay too. You can either keep your palm down or your thumb up. Unaffected hand is going to come on the forearm of your affected side. You're going to try to push that affected arm forward and then bring it back. Now you want to make sure that forward motion is coming from the shoulder. That's where the shoulder flexion is really coming into play. You can push forward, you can do a hold there at the end and then bring it back, or you can do more quick or do quicker repetitions where you're coming forward then back, forward then back. Exercise number 6 is shoulder flexion against gravity, this movement here. This is where we take things to the next level if you do have more activation in those shoulder flexors. What you're gonna do, you can do this one of two ways. You can either help to support your affected side at the elbow or just below. You're gonna try to raise that arm up, coming up to about shoulder height, and then lowering back down. Because of the risk of shoulder injuries above shoulder height, I usually recommend to kind of stop there at about 90 degrees of shoulder flexion and then come back down versus trying to push up and overhead. So you can do it this way, or you can hold your affected hand in your unaffected. You're gonna try to straighten that arm out as much as you can. This is gonna be a little bit heavier and maybe feel a little less supported, but you do whatever feels right to you and that doesn't cause any pain or discomfort. This is where you're raising up to shoulder height and then coming back down. Let me show you from the side. Raising up to about shoulder height and then coming back down. Now again, the other way to do that from this side is supporting at your elbow or just a little below that towards your wrist, raising up to about shoulder height, and then coming back down. Leave me a comment and let me know if you found these exercises helpful. And if you are still trying to get that arm moving, make sure that you check out my Get Your Arm Moving playlist, which goes through a bunch of different exercise routines that will help you work on getting that arm movement back. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to leave it a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notifications for when I post new videos. Post Stroke is a nonprofit and you can help us keep our content free, either by giving us a super thanks by clicking in the YouTube bar below, by giving us a one-time donation via PayPal, or by becoming a Patreon member, where in exchange for a monthly donation, you get access to cool perks like social media shoutouts, behind the scenes footage, and even YouTube shoutouts, of which I have some today. And a huge thank you to all of our patrons, and a special thank you to Heather G, Ryan D, and Modus Nova in our Empowerer tier. We can't do what we do without you all. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.